Hello there. Welcome to Brevard Public Schools. My name is Bridget Reed, and I am so excited to talk with you today about policies and procedures. I want to make this as applicable, enjoyable, real life as possible. So stick with me for the next 20-25 minutes, and I know you're going to leave here with a lot more information than when you started. Today, we're going to be talking about who's who at the district level. So when you see them around your school, you're going to be able to put a name with a face. We're going to be talking about where to find information on our websites, contract, those important things like payroll and observations, evaluation. And lastly, we're going to be talking about professional ethics. Really, the mom basics is how I'm going to be talking with you about. Totally different than the ethics in our orientation training. This is real life, really applicable, and you'll be able to use it right away in the classroom. Here is Brevard Public Schools' mission statement: to serve every student with excellence as a standard. Every student deserves excellence as the standard. That means keeping your expectations high for every student, meeting their needs. This mission statement you are going to see throughout all of Brevard County Public Schools. You're going to see it in the boardroom, you're going to see it on the paperwork, because it's so important to keep it in mind. Keep those standards high, but that every student deserves it. Not just the sweet, quiet ones in your front row. It's every student, trying to reach them. Keep this mission statement in mind as we go through this presentation. Here is our superintendent, Dr. Mark Mullins. You'll probably see him around your school. At some point, he also is very engaged with videos and emails. One of the things that's great about Dr. Mullins is he's been in the trenches. He was a teacher with us. He moved up the ranks in admin and now is the superintendent. So he understands the life of a teacher and is very, very supportive. One of the things that's also different with our superintendent in Brevard Public Schools compared to other counties in the state of Florida is he's appointed by our school board. Other counties have their superintendents, most of them are elected. And that makes it nice for us because we're not having to deal with somebody who's going through the politics of getting reelected. He is right there with us in the business of education. So when you see his face around, be sure to say hi. He really loves connecting with teachers. All right, here are the school board members. There are 5 and they are elected. So I want you to see some of their faces right now. Misty Belford, Jennifer Jenkins, Katie Campbell, Cheryl McDougall, and Matt Susan. And you will see them around your schools. We're going to, in the next slide, take a look to see exactly who would be at your school and who would be your school board member for your residential area in case you don't live near your school. But if they're around your school, I want you to reach out to them and say hi. They are so invested in your happiness, your well-being, and how you are impacting the learning on the students. Take a chance. Introduce yourself, shake their hand. You will see them around your school. So I wanted you to be able to put a name with a face. So referring back to that New Teacher Academy handbook, I would like for you to take a look at the map to see who is your school's school board member and who is your residential school board member. You may not live in the same area where the school board member is zoned for. So I want you to really look right now. Go ahead and do a pause on your recording so you can check it out. It's really important to know who the school board member is because they're going to be walking around your school. Take a chance to introduce yourself. They are so invested in making sure you are doing well, you're happy with where you are, the school is being impacted with the learning. So don't be afraid to reach out to them. So at this point, go ahead and pause, figure out who's who in your school board member zoning. This slide just refers to show you who the superintendent is in relation to the school board. Again, going back to the school board is the one who is directing our superintendent as far as policies, procedures, and how they want those to be implemented. These two ladies are assistant superintendents for leading and learning. Jane Klein, who you see on the left, is for elementary, and then Stephanie Sullivan on the right is for secondary. You will definitely see them walking around your schools. They are in charge of all of leading and learning at those levels. So underneath them, they have directors, and then the directors are supporting and helping the principals at the school. So again, when you see these two ladies walking around your school, you're going to know who they are and introduce yourself to them. Both of them were teachers, know what it's like to be in the classroom, and want the best for you. All right, here is where to find certain things. The contract, our teaching contract. All right, it is buried somewhere deep inside the Brevard Public Schools website, but the easiest place to find it, even if you're not a union member, is through the BFT, Brevard Federation of Teachers website. They keep it right in front. So if you go to bftteach.org, click on that, you're going to find our contract. It has so much information in it. Take a look at it. This is what you sign that you claim that you're going to be doing for the year. So why don't you take a look and see exactly what you say you're going to be doing? It has some great information in there as well. So again, you can find that on the BFT website. Where to find payroll information? You are going to go back to the BPS website, and so it's brevardschools.org, and you can see there you're going to tap on that for staff. Then you are going to go down to My Information Center, MIC for short, and that is where you're going to find everything for payroll. My Information Center. First time users, you're going to be putting in a PIN, and then you're going to click on payroll to get to that information. That's where everything is going to be listed. So you'll see all of it there. Now, this other part, ProGo is what we call it, and there's going to be a section where you're going to, on the new teacher page, Lisa Stanley has put together, where you're going to be able to access how to use ProGo more easily. Don't get frustrated with it. It's a platform that we use throughout a lot of counties in the state of Florida use. Not always user friendly, but you will get used to it. So just if you're frustrated at first, stick with it. This is where the evaluations are going to be. Courses, orientation. So you're going to go to brevardschools.org, hit Launchpad. You're going to sign in with the same sign-in that you use to get into your email system. This is what you're going to see here, Brevard Public Schools. We've now added a secondary authentication program where you're going to either do, I believe it's your email or your phone. Most people choose their phone, and then you'll be able to get in. And this is where you're going to find ProGo. Click on that, and here's where the evaluation is. Your mentor will be working with you on this. Don't feel like you have to do any of this on your own. They will walk you through this. This is where the evaluation is, the orientation, ethics. What I'm going to be talking about a little bit is different than this, but everything is housed in ProGo. Okay, so now we're going to get to the meat of the presentation where we're really talking those basics. We're going to talk about teaching profession accountability, clothing to wear, social media, email protocol, the hierarchy at school, that teacher's lounge, verbal temptations, students' restraint and seclusion. So one of the things you just need to know is you got to be really grasp the teachers are held to a different accountability than a lot of other professions. It's just one of those things that's a what is. And so it's super important, not even what going on at the school, that you're aware of what's going on surrounding you outside in public. And so just be aware. We'll start with language. out in public, social media, at school. Obviously, at school, you're not going to be using swear words, things like that, but you really want to make sure, even out in public. Brevard County is a small county. It feels large, it's really long, but what I mean by small is that you might be downtown Melbourne, you could be in Cocoa Village, at a restaurant, the language you're using, somebody two booths down may be a parent in your classroom. All of this I'm saying based on experience with some of the issues that have gone on with a few teachers in the past. I don't want you to be one of those numbers. So just be very aware of the language that you're using. And it doesn't have to just be swear words. And we're going to get into politics here in a little bit. It could be even things you're saying politically. Just be very aware of your surroundings. FERPA rules. Giving out information on students. It could be as simple as you're in a classroom, you might have a parent in there and they ask you a question about another student. You can't give out any information on other students to other people. It could be something where you're in the hallway talking to another teacher and you didn't realize there were ears around you listening to you talking to the teacher about a student. You have to be very aware of that, not putting student information in emails. So just be very aware of who you are giving information to, following those rules on who you're sharing with. And keep in mind too, most of the time that this happens, it's not ever done intentionally. I'll give you an example. It could be that you have a room mom in your room and you've got a party going on and a room mom says to you, oh wow, you have Johnny, he seems to be doing a lot better this year than he did last year. I don't know how those parents handle it. I don't even know how you're handling it. If you respond and say something along the lines of, well, Johnny's medicated now, or Johnny's doing, that, you're giving out too much information against and not keeping that student's information private. So it didn't mean to be intentional, but just be aware of, sometimes you can even be tricked by a parent that you are just sharing information you shouldn't be sharing. So I just want to plant some seeds here for you to be aware of. Alcohol, non-prescription drug consumption. All right, obviously, you cannot be drinking on the job. There's going to be a day or two, I promise you're going to feel like you need one, but you can't drink at school. It's just one of those things. Obviously, you can't be drinking in the car, non-prescription drugs, just be very aware of. One of the things I want to go back about alcohol too is, of course, you're allowed to drink if you're over 21, if you're out and about in a town. Just be aware. It goes back to that the teachers being held to a different accountability, that, if you are in a restaurant or a pub or something that's close to your school, there could be parents there. Again, you're allowed to have drinks, but there are parents who count. And so just know that sometimes, people are watching, and again, seeds planted. Just wanted to put that out there for you. All right, CBD and medical marijuana. Here's the deal. It doesn't matter if you have a doctor's prescription. We cannot have THC in our system. It does not matter. We take federal dollars, and it is against federal law to have marijuana. CBD oil and all of this, we have stories that go with it, and I don't want you to be one of those numbers. For example, we had a teacher who had some carpal tunnel syndrome, and her doctor told her about getting some CBD oil, told her about a dispensary for CBD to put on her wrist that does not contain THC. So she got it, and they did warn her there is a very tiny possibility that there could be THC inside of the CBD oil, but they try to get it all out. Well, she put it on, she got to school, she had been using it It was great. This is a rock star teacher. She tripped and fell. And when you get injured at school, it's automatic drug testing. Automatic. She tested positive for THC and was terminated. There's no recourse there. And I want you to be aware of that. Same with medical marijuana. If your doctor gives you a prescription for you to go get a pen, and you take it and you get injured, or you're at school, if a student even pushes you, it's not your fault you even got injured, you will be going in for a drug test. And if you test positive, chances are very, very strong you will be terminated. It goes to federal dollars, because even if it becomes recreational in the state of Florida, that passes, if we are still taking federal dollars and it is not passed as a country that is allowed, you're up for termination. So please follow those rules and just be aware of that situation. All right, gossip. Happens anytime there's a group of people. Just be very aware of gossip. Gossip with parents, gossip with other teachers, gossiping in classrooms with students about other students. It's easy to get sucked into this. Stay away as much as you possibly can, and I'm going to give you some tips on that here in a minute. Clothing, even when out on the town, people, just be aware. It's not, and I'm gonna go over a little slide there to show you what to wear, what not to wear. It seems like this would be an easy one to really skip over, but we do have people that have different tastes in clothing. You just don't want to be revealing, offensive, political, anything like that with your clothing, even out on the town, because we're held to a different accountability. For example, I'll go with another story here. We had a teacher who was wearing, she was beautiful, about 5'10", mini skirt, boots over the knees, very revealing top, which she's allowed to do out when she's not at school. Unfortunately, there were other students out there taking pictures of her, and then it was spreading like wildfire at school the next day. Is it against the law? Absolutely not. But does it hurt her credibility? It does. Is it right of those students? No. But if you can make it an easier position for yourself by just choosing clothing that is still stylish, but nothing that's going to have shock value, I would err on that side. Affiliations. Just be very aware of your affiliations, especially if you put things out on social media, which we're going to be talking about here in a second. Especially with politics, we've been in a very heated political environment, and students in your classroom are going to be very aware and watch for what your possible affiliation is. It's none of their business. Our job as teachers is to allow them to come up with ideas and what's going on in their home and how they're being influenced. Healthy debate, if you were in a class of civics or history, things that would involve politics and that talk, but our job is not to ever share our views and thoughts on politics with our students. And they are very hyper aware. If, for example, something was brought up by a student in your class that may have been leaning towards one affiliation or another, they're going to be watching just a twitch of an eyebrow, and quickly they're going to understand your views on certain politics or religion. It's not just Republicans or Democrats or whatever. They watch, and that can be the topic of a dinner time conversation. We want to make sure our classrooms are safe for our students, that everybody feels that they've got an even shot with you. So be very aware of how you portray information and thoughts on things. So another seed planted there. Okay, let's take a look at what to wear and what not to wear. And so yes, on the left, see, everything looks nice. Nobody's revealing. And then on the right, it's a little different. And if you think I haven't seen these outfits in schools, you're wrong. People just, if you want to be treated like a professional, you look like one. It's really that simple. And, most of your schools have some sort of shirt that they have, and so you wear those on Fridays. A lot of times you have jean days on Fridays. So really it's 4 other outfits you need. And you can rotate them. It's not like I'm asking you to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe. You just want to be professional. You want to be comfortable. If you're down on the floor with kindergartners, obviously you're not going to be wearing a short skirt. So just, think about this. And I'm not trying to take away any of your style or your character. If you love to have like pink and purple hair, I'm not trying to remove that. How you're trying to portray yourself, but I just want you to be aware of, if you want to be treated like a professional, look like one. That's simple. And obviously the guy there, because it's hard to find pictures of guys and, so chest hairs and all that, guys, no, we don't want to see that. Okay, let's move on. Social media. Please set all accounts to private. We know parents are very involved with wanting to find out about their kids' teachers, so they'll really dig and try to get information. High schoolers, middle school kids, they want to dig too. They want to find out more information about you. So please, please, please set that all to private. No social media during school hours. Just don't do that. We're supposed to be with the students, all of that. So if you're posting things on Facebook about what you're going to be doing over the weekend, and you're actually supposed to be in, teaching a class, I'm telling you, there are people that can find out that you are posting on social media instead of teaching. So don't even contemplate that. Keep that separate. All right, don't friend or follow a student on your personal account. Learn how to block students on Twitter. You're not friends with these students. You're their teacher. So make sure that you, and I always had the rule of, the second you graduate from high school, we'll be friends. You can put in a friend request, but I'm not going to accept it until you graduate from high school. Most of the time, they didn't care anyways after that. So, not now to be friends with them. Keep those profile pictures clean. I know you heard about all of this in college and all that. Now's not the time to be showing that you're doing shots or any sort of gang sign or a political sign. Keep them clean, because that's what they're going to look for you on. So just a nice picture. Remember about snapshot. Even though it looks like it fades, it's very easy to take a screenshot on that. If you're out and about with your friends, if you're, weekend, you're out and about, whatever. I mean, it's your life, but just be aware of what could be shown up on Snapchat that somebody could dig into and find. Be careful how you reference your school in a post. You just want to make sure everything is very positive. We do have more and more social media going on at our schools. They do have Facebook pages. Just be very aware of how you are referencing them, because if you reference your school, somebody could come in and, if you use your first and middle name, for example, on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, and you post something that includes the school, there's a back way that somebody could find you and then kind of start their stalking and get information on you. And obviously, you're never going to complain about your job or administrators online. I say that word obviously, but it happens and people find out. People report it. Please just don't do it. All right, just stay positive on it. It gets reported right to the district. Even people that you think are just your closest friends, boom, for some reason, things get reported. So just be aware of that one. And never, ever, ever post photos of your students on social media. You're going to find out at the beginning of the year or through the school year who's able to have photos taken, all of that. It's just easier on social media to say, I'm not posting any photos. It's just don't do it. It just becomes a problem, and you just don't need this within your first few years of, or in any years really, of teaching. All right, email etiquette. Please answer within 24 hours, especially with parents. This is most of the time their way to communicate. Don't put a student's name in an email to other teachers, admin, or the district. You can use their student number. You can use a first name with an initial if it's to another teacher. But because it's a government agency, we follow sunshine laws, and all of those can be pulled for a records request. All of your emails through our school district can be pulled for a records request, and it happens a lot. So we don't want any information of a student's getting out in an email. So just be aware of that. On an email, be concise and to the point. People can't read these pages of bullets. Just quick. Answer all the questions in the original email. I know this seems like, wow, don't people do that? No, you have a lot of people that don't. You're going to get parents that ask you 3 questions, and sometimes a teacher will just answer 1. Just answer all of the questions that were asked. Hello on this one. Proper spelling, grammar, punctuation. Credibility goes out the window quickly. If you don't know the difference between your there, there's, theirs, twos, a lot of times our email system is going to pick up these issues and correct them for you. I want you to really make sure that you use the proper spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Proper headings and closings. Dear Mr. Johnson, sincerely, your name. It's not, hey, Mr. Johnson, or yo, Mr. Johnson, or talk to you later. Just professional, proper headings and closings. Don't use capitals for the entire email. I think we all know this, but we still have some people that do that. That means yelling. Watch reply all. If you do this ever, you'll just do it once. No one likes to get all those reply all emails. So make sure you watch just to do reply and not reply all. And sometimes that is a little trickier on your cell phone. If you're using your cell phone for email, those emails kind of can pile up and it gets really confusing. Just be careful with that. Reread it before sending. Have somebody else read it for you, especially if it's to a parent and you're concerned about tone, because you can't read tone and emotion in an email. You want to make sure it's professional. Have your mentor, have your teacher next door to you take a look at that email and reread it before sending. All right. Going on to students for staying in seclusion, this is very quick. You cannot put your hands on a child. Period. Can't. Now, there's a training, it's called CPI training, and your schools may put you through that, and you'll learn proper restraining techniques. And it also allows you to do those. Without that certification of training, you cannot touch a child. You cannot restrain them at all unless you have that training. Another thing that has gone into effect this year with our legislators is when you're disciplining a student, a timeout, for example, have a desk that's close to your desk. You can have them come to by the side of your desk. What you can't do is send a student out into the hallway by themselves. If you're at a school where there's those pods in the middle of all the classrooms, you cannot send a student to a pod. That has gone into effect now with law. You can't put them in a large closet. You just can't do it. The student has to stay within the classroom itself. You can separate the student from the other students simply by bringing a desk right by yours, giving them a timeout there. somewhere that they can think, process what's going on, calm down, cool down, whatever they need. But you can't separate them from the rest of the class there. All right, now let's move on to school hierarchy. Oh, the teacher's lounge and verbal temptations. All right, bottom line, your principal is your boss. The boss. I know this seems like, wow, why is she even having to talk about this? You are not equal to your principal as far as hierarchy at school. We've had several teachers within the last few years who feel that they can tell the principal how it's going to go down, what they're going to do. We even had, I've actually worked with a teacher last year who tested the rules that the principal put up. Not to a good turnout for that teacher. The principal is the boss. And you may not agree with everything your principal is saying, because I'm going to tell you something too. Your principal may have been told by directors or a superintendent or legislators have come up with laws that they don't agree with, but they are putting in place. They're told they have to. So it's very important to understand there is a difference. You work for the principal. You're not equals, and they are there to support you. They are friendly. They want the best for you. But their job is to take care of those kids and make sure the teaching and the learning going on in there is the best that there can be. So just know that if your principal asks you to do something, you do it. And that's just how it is. Teacher's lounge, unwritten rules there. Guys, this can be one of the best places to just kind of talk and really get to know some of the teachers at your school. You could find your best friend there. It can also be a place where there's a lot of negativity. There can be gossip. It can be a sense of where you're feeling uncomfortable. Maybe talk is negative toward admin. Be very aware of what goes on in the teacher's lounge. Read the body language. There might be a teacher there who has been teaching for 30 years. She has her own seat and you're sitting in it. So read the room. Feel okay to say, I'm going to eat lunch in my classroom while I catch up on news or whatever. I used to do that. I would go to the teacher's lounge maybe once every 2 weeks just to kind of bond with some of the teachers, hear what's going on, which you can definitely do in the hallway anyway, so it doesn't always have to be in the lounge. But most of the time I would eat in my classroom. That'd be a time where I would have the lights off, just kind of calm down, maybe some soft music playing. I would check my emails, catch up on news, refresh. Feel okay with saying that's how you are going to construct your day. Have those boundaries, but just be aware of that teacher's lounge. Again, you might meet your best friends in there, and I don't want to take that away, but just be aware of another side there as well. And verbal concerns. Excuse me. Those are those things where you could be in the classroom and you just maybe have had it. You got told about something awful by a student, excuse me. They may have not used nice language towards you. Take a deep breath. Turn around if you have to and look at the wall. Count to 5 before you unleash something, because you can never get it back. You're the adult in the room. We all get angry. There's going to be days, but just take some deep breaths before you speak. Take some deep breaths with your colleagues. They may say something that you don't agree with either. Just take some deep breaths there. All right. Normally, I would have the conversations, questions, all of that with people when I do this presentation in person. But we can't do that when it's live or when it's recorded. So if you ever have a question about anything that I've talked about, or you get into a situation, know that you can reach out to me. Again, it's Bridget Reed, Reed.Bridget@brevardschools.org. I'm here to answer any questions. I'm so happy you're here, and I want you to start off on the right foot. So thank you so much, and you go get it. You are awesome, and here's to a great school year.